don't believe that.
We're going to go ahead and get started. It is 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order. So we'll start with the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and thank you for everyone here that is working to make decisions for the success of the students and staff in our district. We ask for your guidance and wisdom in the decisions that need to be made, and continue to pray for your protection over our schools, our district, and our students each and every day. For it is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I want to announce that this meeting has been duly called and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. Those present: Clint Shive, Renee Rayfeld, Ms. Sartain, Lacey Gotch, and Dan Sartain. Dan Reinhardt. I don't know where Sartain came from. So Dan Reinhardt. Do what? It's your cookies.
You heard it.
I'm like, don't know where
I
Sartain.
bought the wrong cookie.
Yeah. Maybe. So sorry, Dan. I'm not trying to like start something there. Okay. So moving on. Do we have any public participation? No. Okay. So then next on the agenda is construction update. At the top.
Hello. Good evening, Ms. President Rayfeld, members of the board, Mrs. Epley. We'll get right to it. Construction update. As you can see, that building is coming along very nicely. This is the update of the main entry. You can see the bump out in the wall. To the right, if you look to the middle, the first opening to the right, that's going to be your secure vestibule into the school. To the left there, upstairs, is the media center. And to the direct right is all your admin offices. We have glass going in. There's actual full windows now. When I took these pictures last week, it was getting started, but as of today, they got glass all on the first floor of that 2-story classroom. I think that's about, yeah. Up on the roof, we have all the units set, and they're connecting all the condensate lines over the 2-story portion of the building. As of today, the low roof at the admin area is getting finalized with the roofing system, and they'll start flying units there soon. This is just kind of a look on the inside. I think I showed you all bits of sheetrock going up. So the wall on the left is in the art room. You can see the sheetrock getting cut around some of the plumbing. On the right is a main corridor, so we have top out and bottom of all the corridors. They've actually started sheetrocking some of the classrooms now too. Some ceiling grid going in as well. Look at the second floor, same situation. They were offloading drywall materials today, putting it up on the second floor to get ready to hang in the rock up there as well. This is the social stairs, which is out in the main open common area. So to our right would be the competition gym. To the far back will be the auditorium. The main entrance there will be kind of in the middle on the left, where you see that lift sitting out there. Those stairs lead up into your media center, but got all the concrete poured on the first 2 steps of the social stairs. So we'll continue on with CMU and then pouring the actual stairs themselves. This is a look after a nice rainy day last week or the week before. Up in that media center, they're getting all the conference room, the offices framed out. And then, of course, the open area will be your actual library. Cafeteria is fully decked, the roof decking is up. To the right there, you see that large CMU wall. That's a firewall. The back area is the kitchen getting framed out. So it's all starting to look like what rooms they should be now. Auditorium, we have a catwalk, and if you can see, the guys put up our flag in the bottom left-hand corner there on Friday. So I was able to get a revision in, thank you Chelsea and Ruth, to show that. But this is our auditorium, and again, the catwalk area. Band hall, these are gonna be the practice rooms. Where I'm standing taking the pictures where dance cheer is, that will be more CMU walls. They haven't started on that area yet, but this is looking into the band hall and then the practice rooms there on the right. The CTE, which is just on the opposite side of the band hall, we're looking at the welding shop, so you can see the structural steel framing where the crane will go, where the overhead door, the opening for the overhead door, so trailers can pull in and out. In the back section there will be where the welding booths are, and then we'll have some classrooms here, like directly in front of us. Athletics, we have our practice gym up. They got the roof decking on now, but this is when they erected the steel and started setting the decking up on the top there. In the middle is your weight room, and then the top portion is the locker rooms, the lower roof. Today they were actually prepping all the big steel for the competition gym, so that should be going up here pretty soon too. This is just another shot of the roof decking at the practice gym and weight room going in. Ag Barn has dirt that's actually hasn't been rained on, so they've made some progress. We have the concrete stem walls today. They were starting to lay vapor barrier. We expect to pour concrete late this week or early next week for the foundation for the Ag Barn. And that will be the last foundational structural pour that we have on this site. As far as site work goes, we've been tying in storm drains. They're starting to regrade where the staff parking is out in front of the main entry. It's now blue topped, so we're at grade. Our typical monthly overview, so this was last month. See, we haven't done any roofing yet, or they just started the roofing there on the two-story portion. See some open steel there at the auditorium. And here we are today. Everything up through the practice gym now is fully decked, and steel going up in the competition gym. You can see the concrete work there. That's part of your student parking lot. We have that drive that is coming together now. So we got quite a bit of site concrete up. So for our updates, as far as the traffic signal, we finally received information on the landowner, the attorney for the landowner to the south of Timmerman Road. So we're working with him to get signed off on the right-of-way on that portion. The city of Seguin has provided us with the final closing documents. We need to get the north side of Timmerman signed off, so we're making arrangements this week to meet up with them at the title company to get that. As far as the signal work itself, we're working through the pricing. I told you all last month about the steel. So my next step is to meet with City of Seguin engineer and see if there's any flexibility on how much we can put in. TxDOT denied our request to replace the steel with saw cut concrete because of the drainage off of 123, and there's a sidewalk. The city is requiring a sidewalk. So this week my goal is to sit down in front of the city engineer and beg for mercy and see what we can, what adjustments that we can make to help alleviate the additional cost. FF&E, we have some final meetings coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're trying to get those scheduled. And at Link Huber, county issued a email to the city engineer saying, hey, we are gonna be working with the district. So that was one of our points of contention, because the certificate of occupancy was conditional on the work at Link Huber intersection being complete, but city engineer says that if timeline works out and county is going to take over the work, there's not going to be an issue with us taking occupancy of the school. So that was a big one. Other than that, If y'all have any questions, or if you enjoyed your tour a couple weeks ago, I appreciate y'all coming out. I know the crew out there does appreciate giving the tours and being able to answer questions. And
Are there any questions? It's coming along great. Thank you so much for letting us come and tour it.
absolutely, you're welcome. I'm glad you're all able to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next action or discussion item is the district improvement plan and campus improvement plans.
Well, good evening, President Rayfield, Superintendent Epley, members of the board. Tonight, I'm coming with some updates to our district and campus improvement plans. These are living, breathing documents, so they are consistently undergoing review, a needs assessment, and updates throughout the school year. We have multiple sections of it. Technology is included in there, parent-family engagement, the spending of our state comp ed monies, and our title funds. Safety compliance pieces are now part of our district improvement plans, including our bullying policy. So you'll notice that our district improvement plan has gradually grown to 145 pages with those included. TEA requires us to put them in our district improvement plans, and then we also have to have active links for these things on our website. And today they were looking at our DOI plan, so that was just a reminder that they are checking on all these details. So I have a few slides that I prepared. I'm going to try not to be verbose, but we are trying to really follow Mandy's suit with this plan on the page. And when we did our district and educational improvement plan, we look at 6 specific areas in our committees. We look at student achievement, our student culture and climate, staff quality and retention, our family and community engagement, our school context and organization, and our technology components. As we look at these things, the community members, the parents, the teachers give us input. They're allowed to put items on our agenda to discuss, and we really want to know what concerns are, what issues are. You know, as we're growing as a district and we're growing with technology, our old systems are needing updating. Tonight we're going to be talking about some of that as our action items, some of our switches. And I know Jason's been running ragged with many technology things in these last few months, and we appreciate all the work he's doing there. But the district improvement plan is an area that we're highlighting what our goals are. So if we're looking at student achievement, we're thinking about the alignment of our instructional programs horizontally and vertically, from classroom to classroom and from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Some of the things that we've noticed, especially in our area of mathematics, is there's been some misalignment. And as you have teachers coming in and out of your district, they come with many different resources in their pockets. Some of them are excellent resources. Others of them, we really have to vet and make sure that they're giving our students the rigor and the quality that we need. So we have created what we call YAGs, that's a year at a glance. We sit down with a teacher's calendar and we look at all the TEKs that have to be taught, and we create this YAG. So you'll hear that often from the curriculum department. We do unit maps. As a teacher knows what TEKs they have to teach within each grading period, we do maps of how much time do they have to teach each TEK. Which one is the most critical, which one is the most necessary in order to advance to the next grade level. We also have district-created benchmarks with teacher input, obviously, and we talk about STAR question types. We want our questions that we're asking in the classroom to resemble the questions that the students will see when they're taking a state assessment. So whether that's a MAP assessment or a STAR assessment, it doesn't need to be the first time that a student sees that question type. So we're really working on common assessments with our TEKs in the classroom that are aligned to those state assessments as far as their look and their format. And then we're really spending a lot of time talking about advanced academics in college and career readiness. Today, Mrs. Epley met with Vanessa Rittenauer, our CT director, and myself. We're talking about our programs of study, what are our student interests, what do we need to highlight, how can we draw students into these programs, because to leave high school with an associate's degree is an exceptional opportunity that we underutilize as a district. So we're really focusing on how can we draw more students into these programs. The other thing that's on our radar right now is our college nights. We are extending those down to junior high and really trying to focus on 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and them thinking about long term, what do they want to do? And if they want to go to college, a lot of college is not affordable. I learned when I sat through some college visits with my child that there are lots of resources for parents, not just their 529 plans, not just their Texas Tomorrow plan, but if they can get into a high-level college, they will offset a lot of those costs themselves. And I just want parents to have that information, because a lot of times they think college is a daunting financial task, which it can be if we don't prepare them and give them the right tools. So those are some of the things we're looking at as we're talking about student achievement and then their college and career readiness. For student culture and climate, I really like to talk to the students. Last year, Mrs. Epley built a student advisory committee, and boy, did they give us some good feedback. Our dress code is one of the things that emerged from that, but also just how do they feel about their classes? How do they feel about their teachers? How do they feel about the safety of the campus? What do they think about our facilities? What do they think about our extracurriculars? They have a lot of input, and I appreciate that we have student pals in the central office. I get to talk to them often about how's school going? Tell me what you like. When there are changes in staff, there can be changes in students' opinions. So I just like to make sure that we're tapping into our culture and our climate, and we're looking at how we are being portrayed in the community. Are we a positive school? Are we a positive district? Do we have students invested and involved? Are students connected? So those are things that we want to focus on. Staff quality and retention. Dr. Kaufman has been great in developing some of our cornerstones in this area. Mrs. Peel, before she left, started some great work as well, as she was part of our collaborative vision and planning committee. So when we start talking about staff quality and retention, this is difficult. We are fortunate. You gave a 4% raise to our faculty and our staff. That is exceptional. We were one of the only districts in the area that gave that significant of a raise, if a raise at all. So I think that is definitely one of the steps to maintain a quality staff. But then we have to look at how are teachers, new and old, treated. How do they feel in the classroom? Do they feel supported? Do they feel heard? Do they have a voice? That's the important part of this DEIC committee and the needs assessment process, is that they have the opportunity to bring different topics to the agenda to be discussed. Whatever those topics may be, we want them to know that we want their voice to be heard. So this is a perfect venue for them to get involved and to express their opinions. We also have some wellness initiatives for our employees. I think new teachers often get burned out very quickly because it's a heavy lift when you're coming in for the first time and you've never taught 22 bodies in front of you, and there are lots of diverse needs of those 22 bodies. So we want teachers to feel supported as they are getting stressed or overwhelmed. We have some new things we're doing with our new teacher mentor program. Mr. Scarborough's been heading that up at the high school. This year, Dr. Kaufman and I are also engaging in that to offer them some professional development that's specifically related to their needs. Customizing their time when they have work days. We've added some work days to the calendar this year. You may notice that we had one at the beginning of the year in August, and we'll have another one in September. Those are specifically designed for teachers. We do not bother them on those days. We don't schedule meetings for them. We let them dive in and do what they need to do to catch their breath. And they're strategically placed at the end of grading periods so that they can get their grades done, which as a teacher I know that is very time consuming. Family and community engagement. We've been trying since COVID to really involve our families in all that we do. Friday night is an exceptional time. We do see families at our football games, but other than that, what are they feeling comfortable coming to? What do they want to participate in? What do they want to see? So we're trying to customize our family engagement activities. This last week, we did a ESL parent meeting here at the intermediate campus, and we walked them through Parent Square to make sure that they could get in and get that information. We showed them how to access things on our website, because our website's been updated. Things are kind of in different spaces, so we wanted to make sure that they knew where that was. We also talked with them about how to get involved on the campuses, things that they could volunteer to do, and just opportunities to be engaged with their students at school. So we're really trying to look at additional activities. We had Panther Fest last year that I loved. Panther Palooza, actually, we called it. And that was well attended. I was very proud that we had so many families come to that. I had a great time that night too. It was just fun seeing our drama group perform and hearing our kids talk about their goings on at the end of the year, so enjoyed that. When we look at our school context and organization, what Melissa just presented to you is our organization, how we're setting up our high school, our future plans for expansion at our facilities, going to a 2-5 campus, adding an elementary that's another 2-5 elementary, looking at an early childhood center. So we're trying to really think about our growth and how we organize that growth and manage it in a way that we're still that small feeling and that connected feeling. When we talk about technology, continuously refreshing. Technology changes from the moment it's put out. Apple is a good testament to that. As soon as they publish an iPhone, they've got another one in the works behind the scene. So classroom integration, what does that look like? Now we have AI on our horizon. In many ways, AI can be beneficial. In other ways, teachers have concerns about the artificial intelligence. Students can write an entire essay in 5 minutes, and that's really not what we need them to be using it for, but it can also spell check and grammar check, which is a good use of AI. Our acceptable use policies, our onboarding, that's something we've really focused on, is how we globalize our resources for each component, what a student resource pack looks like, what a teacher resource pack looks like, and so on and so forth. And Jason has some very good ideas and feedback on those components as we build those. Then we also want to be talking about our security. I know we have 2-step authentication that's been implemented. That is something I think very valuable. You can't just log into things and get to information as easily. You have to have some authentication steps, which I think is also helping. But we're also teaching our students how to be users that will not get them into trouble. We know that technology, the smartphones, the devices the students have in their hands have a wealth of information. So we really want students to hone in on being good about their perusal of the internet and things that they're looking at, and we want them to find reliable resources. Right now there's a lot of information out there about our presidential election, and a kid could really be sucked into some of those unfortunate pieces that come with that. But I think we're doing a very good job in teaching them how to be cognizant of what they're seeing on the internet. So that's a part of our plan, is that we want to make sure that kids have good resources, good choices, and good information. All right, next slide. Thank you, Jason. So here is a critical update. A piece that I definitely want to highlight is that we are becoming a Title I district. We've been a Title I campus at the elementary for quite some time. Once we hit that 40% mark, it qualified our elementary campus as a Title I campus. So Mrs. Wilson has been, for years, getting Title I funding that supports our intervention teachers. We have 2 intervention teachers that are paid for completely with Title I funds. And when you hit 40%, you are eligible to become a Title I campus. So moving forward, intermediate is hit 45.4. So I just amended our SC 5000 form in the TEA system to identify the intermediate as a school-wide Title I campus, which will garnish funding for that campus. And then junior high is now 43%, which they are now a school-wide Title I campus. So we have 3 campuses. And at the time of this presentation, we were sitting at the high school at 37.3%. But Mr. Scarborough, that's increased to what number?
38,
Yes, 38.5%. So we're slowly creeping into 40% at the high school. I imagine that we'll hit that mark at the end of this year. I can tell you I've qualified a lot of homeless students in the last few weeks. That's something new. We haven't had as many as we are seeing this year. So housing market is a concern. I know that's one of the things that they're discussing on the political agenda is affordable housing. Our housing in this area is considerably affordable when you're looking at, you can get into a new home for $250,000, but that's $250,000. That's still a lot of money. So as we see more diversity in our neighborhood, we are seeing a lot of families doubled up just to share the cost of a home. So we will see, again, I think our high school will become a Title I campus next year, and will be a Title I district. So this means a few additional work pieces for us as administration. We have to create documents and indicating how we will spend our title money. It has to be earmarked for students in at-risk situations. So we've already been doing that in intermediate. Now we just need to find the staff. We know we need math intervention teachers. We know that we're in need of more support staff. So those are some of the things that we will discuss in DEIC as we get our title funding. What are the next steps of what we're going to allocate that money towards? Now, the next slide is our district updates at a glance. We have professional learning communities established at all campuses now. It's really been exciting to see teachers take ownership of these. Elementary, intermediate, junior high are doing an exceptional job. High school, we are diving in to try to find time for PLCs more regularly. They're meeting every other week right now, so Clay's done a great job of making sure that we can have that time on the campus with the high school teachers. A lot of singletons at high school, so our PLCs are a little smaller, where we have 8 and 9 teachers on a PLC. At some campuses, we may only have 2 teachers at the high school campus, but it's time well spent when we can get in there with all of the academic support team and help those teachers with their planning, with building their assessments, with reviewing their data. I think that it's a good opportunity for our district to continue to grow. The LASO grant, we were awarded one of the stages of the LASO grant. It opens up again in October, and we can apply for the next level, but it is given to us for planning and implementation. Currently, it is paying for our instructional coaches, so that is Mrs. Landrum and Mrs. Coppage. We are in the process of TIA. I know Dr. Gosh, when you were here, we were starting to look at TIA. Well, we have had our application accepted, and we are in a data capture year, which means that we have to capture student data and get calibrated with TEA in order to start looking at awarding money to our teachers based on their performance and growth of their students. So we're doing administrator calibrations. So basically on our admin meeting days, which are every other week, we're going to spend the first 30 minutes at each campus walking together as a leadership team and observing teachers in the classroom and looking for specific things so that we're all on the same page. So one day we might be looking at their performance objective on the board and talking about how is it laid out, what is it highlighting, what's the value of it, do the students understand it. So calibration activities are essential in order for us to be giving valid data and feedback to teachers, and they need to look the same from campus to campus. We don't want teachers saying, well, if I was at this campus, I'd be an exceptional teacher, but this campus, the administrator is hard on me, and I can't be an exceptional teacher. So we definitely want to avoid those hurdles by being on the same level and in the same mindset as we give teachers evaluations. We have increased enrollment in advanced academics, and that's mostly visible at junior high. We have a lot of honors classes this year, more than we've had in the past. Our 6th grade advanced math is following the guidelines of TEA of the students that hit that 40th percentile. They were offered advanced mathematics. Our teachers are adjusting to that curriculum and what it looks like, because if they're 6th grade advanced math, they learn 6th grade and part of 7th grade. If they're 7th grade advanced math, they learn part of 7th grade and all of 8th grade. And then they surge into algebra their 8th grade year, and they don't take an 8th grade math star. Their 8th grade year, obviously they take the algebra test. So what does the testing look like? 6th grade takes the 6th grade star, but 7th grade students take the 8th grade math star. That's the difference that the advanced mathematics has put into play. So that is something that we are working with Mrs. Buchnagel on. She's been exceptional at rolling out a lot of high quality, rigorous mathematics strategies. Anytime you implement change, you're going to have frustration and struggle. And so we're really wrapping our supports around the junior high teachers to help them with those changes in the advanced academics. I talked a little bit already about our parent-family engagement activities. We are also continuing to align our instructional programs across the district, specifically in math and ELA. Science happened this year with a new product that you approved. Last May, we approved our McGraw-Hill products, and those are implemented. The science teachers are very excited about the new materials that have come, including the science kits and the online components. We are continuing with our common assessments and our consistent data tracking. I think that's been the way that we are seeing our growth. We talked in our collaborative plan about knowing our students by name and need. We are doing a great job of that. I feel like the teachers, when we have these PLCs, can tell us very specifically who they feel is struggling, who they feel needs intervention, who they feel is succeeding, who are our gifted students. They're looking at their emergent bilingual students, and we're really starting to dive into specific details for each of our kids. I like the data sheets that I'm seeing at the campuses that are kept both by the teachers and the administration. It's also helping us to track the attendance concerns, because we know students that are not coming to school are disconnected from school. So that's another area in which that consistent data tracking is helping. It's helping us to customize our interventions, as I mentioned, and then we're also able to customize professional development for the staff based on that data and that feedback. We see teachers have strengths in many areas, and then we all have our areas that we want to grow. So we're offering customized professional development to teachers throughout the year, not just in the summer, not just on breaks, but consistently, month to month, we offer numerous things for them based on their feedback. So we'll jump to our campuses. Starting with my elementary, we have a social worker intern this year that is, since we lost Mrs. Bishop, who was our social worker, we still have opportunity to have a social worker. So this intern is wonderful. She's been attending our counselor meetings. She will go with us on Friday to our CIRT training, which is Critical Incident Response Team training. So I feel like that's really helping us to meet some of our social emotional learning needs at the elementary. She has some additional PD, and she's got a consultant this year, Crabtree, that's coming in and working specifically with teachers. So it's nice sometimes to have an outside voice. You know, when you always hear from the same person inside time after time after time, I think that it's sometimes nice to hear a fresh perspective from somebody from the outside. So we were introduced to this individual at the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals Conference this summer, and she's working with both the intermediate and the elementary campus as a consultant. We have NWE MAP goals this year. That's part of our TIA as well. Laurel's campus is high achieving, and when we look at our MAP data, but they're slow to grow. So we want to find out what those components are that are preventing them from growing. When they achieve at a high level, they should also grow. So that's one of the things, one of our initiatives in our campus plan. We have a campus goal tracking system, and I don't know if you've ever seen a copy or seen an example of Mrs. Wilson's data tracking system, but it's very colorful, color-coded, and it's very, very detailed. And I appreciate all that thoughtful planning, and they use that for RTI. And then we are continuing for training and implementation of Amplify. K through 2 is our newest group. We had already 3 through 5, 6 through 8 this year. We're really focusing on those K2 teachers, and they're doing an exceptional job. I'm really excited. I sat in their leadership team meeting recently and talked about some of the components, and just listening to the teachers talk about how they utilize the product. They showed examples in the classroom of different slideshows they put together. It was impressive. I was very pleased to see their progress. Now we'll jump to the intermediate. We have, again, looked at student data. She has created, Mrs. Schwartzose has created student data tracking folders, so the students are actually tracking their data at third grade. I think they're able to do this very successfully. We also are looking very specifically at our attendance. You may see some social media posts about tardy letters that are going out. Well, that is a state requirement. When students miss instruction consistently over time, we do address it, and it's about keeping the students engaged. You know, I think as an adult, when I'm late to a meeting and I miss something important, it's kind of a big deal. So I tell our parents all the time, school is your child's work. When they're late, they're missing important things. It's not that we're being petty about attendance, it's that we're being attentive to it because we want our students to be there. So I do appreciate the initiatives with that. Goal setting for our content areas. What are our needs? What are our needs for RLA? What are our needs for math? We've talked very specifically about our progress in math with our lower levels, and we've been looking at, is our curriculum working? I do think that we have a good curriculum. I just think that we were kind of all over the place with our alignment, so we're focusing on that. The discipline committee, intermediate, is a well-oiled machine. If you come here during the day, kids are where they need to be, hallways are very well managed. are our students doing? What are our discipline concerns? How are they participating in the class? Are they engaged? Which I think is essential to a campus being successful. Students are wearing their ID badges. We know this is important for safety and security purposes, and we appreciate Robbie's help with getting all of this together. It's been quite a feat, but it's working. Teachers are putting their lesson plans into forethought. This was another thing we've talked about for 2 years. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Now it is tied directly to their observation. So when an administrator goes into their classroom, they can pull up one program that has everything there. Their lesson plans, their evaluations, their walkthroughs, all in one place. So I appreciate the work in that area for the teachers to merge their plans from what they were using in the past to our district system. Counselor meetings with students. Mrs. Clardy is exceptional with this. She has a needs assessment she does with her students. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Checking in with them on a regular basis, which I think is an important component when we're talking about student welfare. Attendance rate at the intermediate's at 97.5. That's something we continue to track. I would like for our district to hit 97 or higher. We're sitting at 96.1 right now, so we're well on our way. Student-led conferences are always important. This is where the students are telling their adults, whether it be a parent, guardian, how they're doing, and they understand how they're doing. They really can relate to, I'm being successful, or I might need to work a little bit more on my homework at home, those kinds of conversations. I love the Panther Kindness Club. If I could start a campaign worldwide, it would be a kindness campaign. So I'm very excited to see that happening at the intermediate campus. And we are striving every day to improve our proficiency for reading and math with that 90-60-30 master plan that is also in our district improvement plan. And I will transition to junior high. We have a very exciting thing, an addition of a Communities and Schools counselor, Sarah Pittman. She's exceptional. She's jumped in already. We stocked her with school supplies. She's got a cabinet full of things for students. And she's already making her way to all the classes, introducing herself to students and making connections with families. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you, board, for that opportunity. We added a character counts curriculum program this year, and they are doing those character counts lessons with all students, 6th through 8th grade. We felt this was essential considering some of the disconnectedness we had last year at the junior high, and the kids feeling kind of lost with some of their concerns and their issues. So now we have a new counselor. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet Mrs. Lutz. Susie's exceptional. She's done a great job of lifting this character counts program off the ground. But also, Ms. Torrey has done a great job. This was a program that she brought to our attention, and I think that she's been a good leader in getting it in front of the teachers and helping them to understand its purpose and its meaning. Professional learning communities, I wish you could have been with me last week in the Science PLC. Our teachers are leading it, and I was super excited to see how they're working with each other and how they're really working to align their curriculum. We have instructional leadership teams meeting regularly at the junior high. I've attended a few of those meetings and very impressed with how efficient those meetings are and with the topics that are very relevant to the needs of the campus. We have a targeted and structured Panther time. Their tutorials are amazing. I have heard very little transition. Usually where I am at central office, when kids are transitioning between classes, you hear screaming, hollering. I mean, they're like hurrying to get to places during tutorials. So very good job of those structured tutorial times. And then again, we're implementing the HQIM in both mathematics and ELA. And those are some heavy lifts for the teachers. So we're really trying to wrap around the supports for them to ensure that they have what they need to feel success and to help their students succeed. Then our last campus improvement plan is our high school. Mr. Scarborough is pursuing the Purple Heart designation.
Purple Star.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say. Well, we have the article, so yes, the Purple Star, so I need to get that updated, which it is in our slides, thank goodness. And then the implementation of intervention plans for students who fell 6 weeks. Now, I've gotten a little bit of what can I say nicely? I've gotten some feedback about this. So when a student fails, I have a one-page intervention plan that I'm asking the teachers to complete for that student. When I was teaching many years ago, it was 31 pages for our RTI plan, and I've shared this with some of the teachers. So we reduced it to a one page. It's important that we are looking at why our students are failing. We have to know why our students are failing. Are they failing because of attendance? Are they failing because of disconnectedness? Are they failing because of content? So they're filling out these intervention plans each 6 weeks. The registrar is sending them their roster of who their failures are, and they fill out this one pager for each kid. So if I have 25 failures among my 6 periods, that's a lot of paperwork. I understand that. But it's paperwork that's necessary for us to track our students. If we're going to know them by name or need, we need to know who those kids are. And I think the biggest surprise was, I didn't realize I had so many failures. So let's address that. What is that about? Is it the course content? Is it lack of participation in the class? Are the kids missing the class? Those are things we need to really dive deeply into looking at. Deeper use of our PLC time, which we talked about earlier with those common assessments and our data looks. Looking for ways to expand on our testing opportunities for our students. This includes SAT, TSI, ACT, ASVAB. We want those students to take those tests, even if they don't plan to go to college, so they can know if they're college ready. They need to understand what those tests mean. They need to understand what those tests can help them do. If they can get out of high school with some college credit behind them, that is going to save them time and money. And then last but not least, we're focusing on the number of times that we have high yield strategies in the classroom. We already had the Fundamental 5 as a walkthrough tool. We've added the Marzano goals with that, or the Marzano high yield strategies, so that it's a combined walkthrough form, and we're really looking at high level teaching. What does it look like in the classroom? What does it sound like in the classroom? When we walk into a classroom and teachers are always talking, when do the students have the opportunity to do the talking? We want to focus more on student-led conferences and student-led conversation in our classroom. So I applaud Mr. Scarborough and his leadership team for really focusing on that aspect of their improvement plans. So with that said, I will be glad to answer any questions. Like I said, the district improvement plan will be on our website. It is a living, breathing document that will constantly undergo assessment review. We have 4 formative assessments that we do a year. They're quarterly, so we go in and we look at our goals. What's our progress towards each of those goals? And we have a progress toggle that we will push one way or the other depending on where we are with progress to that goal. You also see comments as we meet goals, or as we have goals that change. You'll see comment boxes that say what we're doing and how we're changing that goal. And as I get more and more initiatives from the education agency and more changes that come to policy, those will also be outlined in our district improvement plan. And we'll be looking at those during our DEIC meetings, which next week, Monday night, is our first one, 5:30 at the intermediate in the library. So we have one of our largest committees this year. I'm very excited about that. And thank you, board, for your recommendations. We've got lots of great participants. Questions?
Are there questions?
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first question I have has to do with the Title I application. So are we filing for the high school as part of the feeder pattern from the junior high to try to utilize some of that funding in high school, or we're going to hold off on that completely and wait for the high school jumps that?
We're holding off. Yes. I knew we could apply for them to be a transition campus, but we have decided to wait since they're moving over into the new building and we're restructuring things there. We wanted to focus on our 3 campuses first and build the capacity for what we're going to need when we get into that new building. Yes.
So basically, once the other building is finished and we move forward, if we haven't reached that threshold, then maybe something that we're looking at later.
Oh, sorry. You were talking to me, yes?
Okay.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Lacey. Yes, it is definitely something that we are looking to build because I think it will bring the communities and schools person. It might bring our CCMR counselor that we've been needing. It might help us to get more intervention. It may help us to get an academic dean. When that campus opens, and it's so impressive, I'm so excited about seeing the progress of it. When we move over there, I think we will know better the space of what we need and how we can use our title funds to target some of those needs. So yes, I hope this time next year, I'll be amending our SC 5000 to become a title district, and then we'll start looking at those funds to be allocated in the spring for the new high school campus once we move in.
And then my second question has to do with the SAT, ACT, and then PSAT wasn't listed on there, but
Yes.
a couple of years ago we were looking at becoming a testing site so that we could just test all students.
Yes,
Is that part of that initiative there as well as to test all of our students and to offer that?
absolutely. Absolutely. We've contacted College Board and started the application process to become a testing site. I hope that that is approved by the end of October so that we can actually, the FAFSA comes out in December, and so we want kids to go ahead and start taking their college assessments November, December. They have opportunities, and so they can have that information when they're filling out their FAFSA. Not every campus or every college right now requires that, but it's a good practice. So we want to become a testing site to make it easy for our students so they don't have to go to San Marcos High School. That's the most common place they go. And now it's all online, so we just have to ensure that our technology components are available for them to do that outside of firewalls and things like that. But we're working on that. But yes, we want to be a testing site.
Okay, and then I had two questions. One of them was related to the teacher retention, and you had mentioned that there was discussions with the veteran teachers, and I wanted to know if there was adequate buy-in and engagement from them in the discussions regarding retention. Are we getting a lot of feedback from those veteran teachers about what retention benefits would look like to them?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, some of them have been very involved in those conversations. When I talk with people like Kathy Sills, our most veteran teacher, 51 years of experience, she loves being here. Her part of retention is opportunities to be engaged. Friday night, she's down on the sidelines with the students. So leadership opportunities are something that I've heard. I have a science teacher who's a veteran teacher, and she's the department lead. She told me she's going to retire, so I can't do anything about that, and her reasons for retiring are good, but we're trying to give them opportunities for leadership, and we're trying to utilize them in a way that accentuates the good practices and the strengths that they have. So that's one of the things that they've asked. I think money-wise, when you've been in the system that long, yes, a 4% raise is amazing, but it's not everything. I think the connectedness and the opportunities for being a role model or being a mentor teacher, which we've really done that with Mrs. Seals this year with social studies at the high schools. We have a lot of new staff in social studies, and they've been observing her classroom, and I think that that's one way to retain a veteran teacher. New facilities help too, also.
And then my other question was, I had already reached out to Mrs. Epley about my concerns about the enrollment with the advanced academics at our high school level. Are there any plans for communication with like the parents and the families of the students in the equitable disadvantaged group and the sub-tops? Because data shows that their parents or guardians weren't typically college students. So I think some of that disconnect happens at home because the parents don't know how to guide them because they didn't experience it. So do we have anything in place where we're gonna start engaging the families? Because I don't think just engaging the students is enough.
That's right. It takes a village. So parents have to understand the components that are necessary. Let's talk about dual credit for a second. The students have to make a certain score on the TSI test to be even able to enroll in dual credit. And parents don't understand the timelines. I mean, you're basically having to do this within a time frame so that you can get your college it's a college application. The TSI test is a precursor to getting that college application done so that they can take those college level courses. So yes, I think we met about this today with Mrs. Edley. Vanessa and I sat down with her this afternoon and said, there are components we know we're missing out on and that we have missed out on. So Mandy and I were talking about this folder. She was talking about the components that would be in the folder, that we would actually give it to junior high kiddos as early as 6th grade. And it would have all this information about if I'm a parent, these are resources I have available to me, these are people I can contact, this is a person I can sit down with and ask my questions. I answer a lot of questions pretty frequently about the FAFSA form, the Applied Texas form. Does this college accept this form? Does this college accept this credit? Because parents need to know, if you're gonna go to a state school, dual credit's your way to go. If you're gonna go out of state, AP is the way to go. Sometimes private schools will not accept those credits. Sometimes private schools will accept them. So there's a site that they can go to and they can put in those classes and see what their college that they're interested in would accept. A&M is exceptional, they take a lot of it. Texas is exceptional, they take a lot of it. But when you go outside of Texas, which my daughter did, they didn't take any of it except for her Spanish. So it's important to know that.
What's important to note from your question specifically is that we until students are at their junior or senior year to have these conversations. That is way too late.
Yes.
And it is not that we expect a student to know exactly what they're going to major in or exactly what their career will be at 6th grade, but the resources, the timeline, the conversations need to be happening. To your point of some of our underserved populations, they may not know the questions to even ask. It's an intimidating process, and we want to start breaking that down early so that they know there's a counselor they can start having conversations with. We spoke today specifically about breaking apart the difference between a college and career night fair where we come and there's a bunch of tables and everybody kind of scatters and some people look like they know what they're doing and where they're going and some people just wander around. There is a difference between that type of night and a I'm planning for my future night. How do I do that starting at 6th grade, going into 7th grade, going into 8th grade? What does my 4-year plan look like at Navarro to help set me up for success so that when I do go to that college career night and all the tables are there, I am not wandering aimlessly or following a friend or a parent that looks like they know what they're doing. I have already had that plan to say, I need to visit these 3 college tables, I need to go visit the Caterpillar table, I need to, wherever it is that I know I need to go because I have a plan in place. And I'm going to them offering my services. Because the market has changed. Colleges need people to come to them. And so we want our parents and our students to feel that I am the thing you want at your college or at your place of business, and I'm coming to you prepared. And that's why we started the Navarro Prepared Initiative. We had a good conversation today. I think we, in the past, have focused very broadly on, well, we had a college night, well, we had, a parent night, but what happens for those folks who didn't attend, are lost, are too afraid to talk about it, and then that piggybacks on our student advisory that said we didn't feel like there was enough targeted information for us to feel prepared. And so in addition to really targeting those nights, starting with a very basic folder that every child, every parent gets with the resources and the timeline and who I can talk to right off the bat. We are going to be following back up with those 4-year plans in Zello. It gives you opportunity for alerts to parents to say, hey, you haven't done this yet. Hey, are you aware this is something you should be taking care of, right? Treats it very much like ParentsWare does so that they can go in and complete those tasks. I just don't think we're utilizing our tools and being as specific as we could be. And so those are the conversations that we have started and we'll be targeting because I do think there are missed opportunities. I think there's a lot of assumption that everybody kind of knows how it goes, and that's just not the case. And like I said, the market's changing. There's a lot of messaging that college isn't for everybody now. Where we shifted in the past, it was everyone needs to go to college. And so we need to help navigate families through that so that they can know that here are the choices, here are our connections, here are resources, and feel confident about those next steps. So I hear you, and we are definitely making some active choices to improve.
And one other, I think, important topic is college and career centers. Some of the bigger districts have those on their high school campuses. They have a person that is responsible for college and career counseling. Kids can come in during their lunch hour and get lots of good help and support. Parents can come as well. We haven't had that, and that is something we're trying to figure out, how do we create that? I meet with the librarians, and is this something that our high school librarian could oversee? Is there an area that she could bring in people to help students, whether it's St. Philip's College or Northeast Lakeview College, but giving them opportunities in a college and career center that's available to them on their time, whether that be their lunch hour or the tutorial period. So we're going to go see some schools or some districts that have these established and just see how they set it up, what resources they use, and then bring that back and try to replicate that and create that for our district as we grow. I feel like that's something we can support. It's just, what does it look like without a full-time person responsible for it? So I'm excited about that too.
If you could just keep us updated on
what's the future of, P-TECH or the future of this program? I think it's premature when we haven't done the work to really communicate what are those pathways, what are those programs of study, to jettison something or add something before we really know what's in the box. Does everybody really know what's available to them? And one of the big key elements I talked about today is it's not just a career counselor that knows, or a counselor that knows, or even a principal that knows getting up in front of families and students and talking about it. Does everyone know in our district what is available to students? Because what's more impactful is when Clint's in my class, I know Clint, and I'm able to say, Clint, have you thought about this? I really see you succeeding in this area. That has more impact on a child coming from, sometimes the most random teacher that they have than a kid who's actually going to take the time to make an appointment to go talk to a counselor. I think it's so important that our teachers know what the system is, what the opportunities are, and I don't think we've done a good enough job of helping to outline what those programs of study are. The law has changed, really not encouraging students to dabble so much. It's not about, I'm gonna try this elective over here and raise a rabbit this semester, and next semester I'm gonna go over here and study accounting. It's really about creating a pathway for someone who has 4 years of experience, able to get an industry-based certification and ready to go into the workforce. But do kids know that connection? Do parents understand that connection and understand what that means as far as an entry-level position into the career? And I don't think we do at this point. And so yes, we will be giving you a progress report on Navarro Prepared. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it in the collaborative visioning, but we have work to do in that, and it's urgent work, because we can't truly move forward on the expansion of programs or the collapsing of programs if we're not at a place where I feel confident that anybody even knows what we offer.
Well, and sort of to that point with my own kids, they weren't interested in taking any advanced academics because their path wasn't going to lead them into higher education.
Right.
And it just, as a parent, trying to explain, look, advanced math and advanced English are going to be needed no matter what you do.
Right.
They just weren't getting that communicated to them here.
Right.
And so when your mom's telling you that, it's completely different than when you have, teachers and other people that you're with, quite frankly, more hours in the day.
Right.
Saying, hey, even though you're gonna go do this, you still need to have, a larger scope of math or a larger scope of English or something. It's not just for the kids going to college. Everybody needs to be able to have that opportunity.
Correct, and challenging yourself to the next level. There's benefit to that, and having a mindset of growth that I do this well, I could stay in the regular class, but what do I gain from challenging myself to that advanced level? And I think we are working towards that, not only with the mandates from TEA, but also just encouraging kids to take that chance and really enrich themselves. So I see us moving in a good direction, but we will absolutely bring you a progress report on that.
Thank
And I
you.
would say I think we've made progress. I know 3 or 4 years ago, we were going to hire a career and college counselor and build the center that you're talking about, because to Melissa's point, the kids do need somewhere that they can go that's, I'm gonna say, more equitable to all students in terms of what scholarships are available. Because when you're sitting at some of these programs and you see kids getting every single scholarship, you know that they're tuned in a little bit more than maybe some of the other students are.
Yes.
And I know we've attended conferences where, as a board, we get really hyped up on something and bring it back and challenge the district to take it to the next level. So hopefully that is something that you can come through. I would also say to the underserved population, because it's daunting even when my kids went to college, and I went to college with bachelor's and master's, and still trying to figure out application timing, FAFSA nights, filling out the FAFSA was a
need that hands-on. And that's the feedback we've gotten through our parent and family engagement activities. When we ask the parents about those types of things, that's what they want. They want that opportunity to sit down, to learn, to see the system. How do I log in? Signing up for an SAT test, that's a lot of work. You gotta create your College Board account, you've gotta go in there and get all of that information in there. You have to select colleges you're interested in as part of that process. So just helping them with those pieces too. I think your point is very valid. We definitely need to give parents training just as we give opportunities to students.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Lacey? Okay. Okay. Well then, thank you.
Thank you.
For that update. We're gonna move on to now our reports. Our first, report is campus activity reports from principals, AP, and other departments. Any questions on any of the reports? Okay, we're gonna move on to the superintendent reports, starting with enrollment.
Good evening, board members. Our attendance rate since the start of school is 96.17%. As you know, we sat a little higher than 94% all year long last year. So this is a great start for us. Again, seeing a lot of sessions at TASB for how do you get students to attend school. We know statewide there are still low attendance rates post-COVID. We are very blessed to not have that issue. And so we are continuing to help to encourage students that if you're out, you're missing out. So please attend school and we keep them engaged. I think that's a big win in the district, is that we have work for them to do. We have experiences for them to be a part of, and they are showing up. I also want to show that this is the differential from the last day of taking attendance and last year to September 10th of this year. So you can see 213 new students, and we are not at peak enrollment. According to the demographer, we are seeing some increases at our junior high and certainly at the intermediate that are higher than our demographic projections. So you can see that we have 20 elementary students, more than we closed out the year with, 110 intermediate students. Again, this is why we have expanded to that second site for that 2-5 and to turn this campus into a 2-5. We will still be adding portables next year at this campus while we construct the new elementary, because this campus capacity is 700. We're obviously at 670 now. So by next year, we will be tapping capacity here at this campus. 35 new students at the junior high and 48 at the high school. So continued growth, and our plan is in place to continue to address that growth.
Maybe I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Just as a refresher, the 96.17 attendance, our budget was built on
94, yes ma'am. And we hope that will stay that way all year. We know we run into illnesses and different things, but that's a great start. My next topic is the calendar of events. Again, all families are encouraged to visit the website. Our students are constantly involved in events. We have the specific holidays. Of course, we'll be honoring National IT Professionals Day tomorrow. So all our technology staff will be honored. As Ms. McMullen mentioned, we have our first DEIC and SHAC meeting coming up on the 23rd. We will also recognize Childhood Cancer Awareness with wearing gold on the 24th. We do have students who are fighting that battle, and we want to show that we support them as they go through that battle. Our Human Resources Appreciation Day is the 26th. Our NEF grant applications are due on the 27th. If you have seen, NEF has expanded their group grant to a $10,000 grant. So a great opportunity for a team with a great project and experience for students to get some grant funding. We also are continuing to recruit drivers. We are 7 drivers down, and we are having a transportation ride and drive event. If you would like to try to drive a bus, come on out on the 28th. We will be letting people experiment with driving a bus and getting them familiar with that. We do believe we have some retirees in our community, as well as some folks who might be available to drive, and we're going to reach out to them. I know our families have wanted some more flexibility in routes, in stops, and that really cannot happen without additional drivers. So we are looking for additional drivers. We are managing to get most kids home by 5:10. If you'll remember last year, we were still picking up kids for a second run at 6:15 and 6:30 at night. So we've seen quite a bit of improvement using the staggered start, but having more drivers gives us more flexibility. And then as we move into October, that is CTE month, and so we'll be highlighting those pathways we just talked about, as well as National Principals Month, Custodial Appreciation Day, and our band starts to compete at their competitions. That first competition on the 5th is at Davenport, and later in the month they'll be over at the Rough Riders competition. So, as they like to call it, Bandtober will start to take full effect in October. So we're looking forward to watching our students. Obviously, we're already seeing them perform at football games with our cheerleading and band. We're also seeing cross country, and we'll be hosting our own cross country meet over at Starkey Park. And our tennis is doing exceptional work, headed to district play and winning against our district teams. And we're seeing volleyball do some exceptional work as well. So continued connections for our kids and great things going on.
The next item is the district financial reports. Any questions or comments? If not, then we'll go on into the collaborative vision quarterly report.
All right, I'm going to have Jason assist me a little bit and take us out to the actual collaborative vision report, and so he'll flip through. I do want to take the opportunity to thank all of our team, especially Chelsea Ormond, who helped put this together. I think it is exceptionally laid out and really gives a great presentation of our district. I was speaking with Dr. Kaufman that I felt like this is something he can highlight as we go to recruit folks for positions, to just really see the essence of our district and how we're continuing to move through our vision and consistently improve. So if you'll flip through. Again, we highlight all of the areas from the collaborative vision. One addition to this particular quarterly report that we'll be adding throughout is a highlight of financial transparency. We don't have a specific category for finance because finance is the through line in all of this and how we fund this. We do believe in transparency with our finances, and so we're highlighting those pieces as you go through the report. So we start first with obviously academic services and our preparation through CCMR. We highlight any of the times that we get a recognition that is part of the board's goals is being a recognized district, and we were recognized at the elementary as an ERP honor roll school. We also talk a little bit about what we highlighted in the district and campus improvement plans, which is an alignment of curriculum as well as our instructional technology use. You can see here we also address our special populations, including gifted and talented, and special education. We've highlighted some of the great projects that have been added to support those students. You can see here, again, that realignment and making sure we have opportunity for community input through the DEIC as well as the SHAC. And then also our Strong Foundations grant that's allowed for us to have aligned curriculum as well as resources. The curriculum that is now up for State Board of Education approval that already has been approved by TEA, this is funded through that grant for us. So in some cases, you're talking about $200,000 worth of instructional materials that would have had to come from our maintenance and operations fund coming from that grant. So it's been a good investment for us to be able to get those resources ahead of approval from SBOE. So moving on, we talk about our summer program, and then of course our career in technology education. So you can see here that we have a series of events to help communicate about our CTE and opportunities for college, career, military readiness. And so I'll skip through these pages, but again, a lot of proud moments for us, students being highlighted for their various projects and recognition for what they've done in their groups. Also, our focus on P-TECH, one of the things that we did talk about is a need to help brand that, make sure students know that that opportunity is there. And so we have an advertising video that will go out this month for students to understand what that P-TECH program is. We're also expanding with our White Fleet vehicles to be able to support students and their needs to go to competitions. And you can see there some of the dual credit and advanced placement pieces. That is a piece that we have got to communicate early and explain the purpose of those courses, and that it does go beyond just college preparation. So this is where we have our 3 initiatives, the Navarro Ready, Navarro Engaged, and Navarro Prepared. And we outlined those initiatives in this quarterly report, starting first with Navarro Ready. We wanted families to understand what are those readiness skills that your child needs as they enter a particular grade level. So that as you're assessing at home, is my child ready? Do they meet these skills to go into kindergarten, to go into first grade? We will continue to develop these checklists so that specifically they address those areas of onboarding as you move from 5th grade to 6th grade, as you move from 8th grade to 9th grade, because those are key transitional years, and we want kids to be ready to engage at their particular campus at that time. And so we'll be adding those to the website. These are the beginnings of Navarro Ready. Navarro Engaged is about that connection with clubs and activities. We know that the more people that are engaged with students, the more that we're connecting with them, we're getting to know who they are, and we're able to guide them forward. So even if they never become a professional musician, starting with strings in elementary is teaching some discipline, helping them to learn a skill, decide, do I like this, do I not like this? But then that teacher may be able to guide that student down a path and say, this might not be your thing, but you're a wonderful talker. You talked all through class. Maybe you should be in theater, right? So opportunities for kids to make those connections and have kids get to know each other and have staff get to know kids. We know that this leads to student engagement in higher test scores, in more opportunities for scholarships and connections into the workforce. And so we're going to continue to develop those programs. And one of the ones that is brand new this year is our Panther Shake. And that is those skills of looking someone in the eye, shaking their hand, having a conversation. Are you able to maintain a conversation without looking away into a cell phone, right? And that seems like that would be easy to do, but it is not. And so we're starting that at the elementary and the intermediate. They will have their own shake clubs and their own conversations in their specials classes and in PE. And then they will send their top shakers to our semifinal rounds. That will be with our district staff, and some of you may want to join us for that. And then our finals round will be our top kids who'll be shaking with the mayor, with some of our city officials, and some of our school board. And so it's a great opportunity for them to showcase their skills and get excited about getting out of the phone and making connections as human beings and having great conversations. So we're building that character, building those skill sets. We're highlighting here our fine arts. Throughout this quarter, we've continued to grow our fine arts. We've changed some of our staff. They're bringing in new traditions, and we're building on those opportunities to showcase kids' skills. So we have several pages highlighting fine arts, if you'll move through that, Jason. And we also have opportunity to showcase athletics. You know that we have an athletics improvement plan. This highlights our growth in numbers in the particular programs at the junior high and high school and areas where we need to continue to build. Also talks a little bit about our advisory committee. We have students who are already committed to that committee, and we are still looking for some adults to be a part of that. So if they need to contact Coach Blunt, his contact information is there. Also, our character development that's happening through 2 words curriculum in all athletics classes. And then ultimately, we did add that drug testing policy for all of our programs. So you can see here are some additions. Our last initiative is Navarro Prepared, and this speaks to what we talked about with advanced academics. Do you know what is available to you? Do you know how to lay that out in your schedule? How do you know that you're ready for those courses? What does it mean to be in those courses? And having that conversation early and often. Again, also, if I'm preparing for the workforce, what do I need to know how to do so I am ready to enter the workforce? What is that industry-based certification that I need? If I'm thinking college is for me, what do I need to do to prepare for that? It all goes beyond just a college essay. What do I need to do? Where do I need to look? How do I market myself to them to get the best opportunities? And then finally, military. We do have students who join the military. Do they know all of the opportunities? There are additional branches to the military that some kids may not be aware of, whether that's the Space Force, whether that's the Coast Guard. Just because you don't live near water doesn't mean you cannot go into the Coast Guard. So some opportunities for kids to really learn more about the opportunities they have in the military is something we will be looking at. You'll see there our dual credit and advanced academics. The next piece is the employer retention and recruitment. So this piece highlights the raise structure that was given this year. There was some confusion that was brought to our attention related to the scale. I think sometimes teachers feel like the scale is a foreshadowing of what they will receive. The scale is never meant to be that. It's an entry-level piece of placing you as you come to a district for your years of service. And so we educated folks on that who had been confused by the scale, that understanding that the scale changes annually unless the board chooses to freeze that scale. So it's a big part of why I believe in compensation task force, and we're going to continue to encourage folks to be a part of that so that they understand that no one is trying to hide things about compensation for you. We want to be transparent. We did have one of the highest raises in the area. Also, when you factor in the additional monies that we paid towards insurance, to be in a solvent district with this high of a raise is really exceptional right now. We have neighbors who receive no raise at all and are banking on a voter-approved tax ratification election to be able to give them a raise. And so continuing to communicate that to staff is important. We also are talking about all of the things we discussed in collaborative vision and setting that up. I know Dr. Kaufman has started to schedule stay interviews, and that speaks to your question earlier about how do we know we have buy-in. Well, we're going to go to our folks that we think are doing an exceptional job and say, what makes you stay here? What will make you stay here? And really take stock of that, bring that back to compensation task force, and formulate the recommendation to bring to the school board about what does total compensation look like here. And total compensation isn't just that money you take home. It is your insurance, it is your perks, it is the culture and climate. And we want to build a strong culture and climate here so that we are retaining our best. So if we flip through, we talk about how we're growing leadership capacity in the district. We also talk about, you can continue to flip through, how we are working together to orient all our new folks into the system. And then if you'll flip through, we talk about our convocation, which really is a celebration of the year to come and our focus. You guys did an exceptional job welcoming our teachers at convocation. And then finally, our parent and community engagement. We know this is critical. It is at the core of how we created collaborative vision and how we continue to work through our committees. We are engaging with our community to make sure our students have what they need and to connect them to our teachers. You can see here we added a way to recognize teachers and employees, and that is our Heart of Gold Award. Anyone in the community can nominate someone, and we'll be giving that out every quarter. If you'll flip through. You can also see that we have continued with our Bond 2024 as an oversight committee and facilities committee. We've met twice so far this year to talk through plans for the elementary as well as the athletic facilities, and to help keep people informed about our land purchases and how we are moving forward with our plans that were established in our long-range master planning. We are continuing to work with Parent Square and our district communication, and you can see there some of our reports and how we're working to improve our website. And then our community partnerships. Building organizational capacity with our partners to be able to recognize needs in the district where they may be able to fill in. And finally, our facilities, growth, planning, and safety and security. If you'll flip through that, you'll see that we highlight some of our strengths in child nutrition as well as transportation. Flipping through. As well as highlighting the 2021 bond, which we just went over in regards to our progress with the high school, and then our growth, and then the safety measures that we've taken. Our Safety and Security Committee meets. We discuss whether it's fencing, whether it's the film on our windows, what we need to do to utilize our grant funds to create a safe and secure environment for students. We also value our partnership with the Sheriff's Department and have continued to utilize them to investigate any concerns that we may have and to support a safe environment while students and staff are here on campus. Technology, as you know, we have a 5-year technology plan. This year's quarterly report highlights how we're moving forward with that plan, whether it is the addition of Chromebooks or the replacement of APs and switches to be able to bring us up to a reliable network to give students access to that network. That has been a struggle for us recently. I know Jason and his team are working hard to resolve some of that. I think when you have trouble with technology, it certainly highlights the change in demographics from our staff, where some of us taught with chalkboards and chalk, and are used to pivoting if technology is not available. Some of our staff has always had digital resources to assist them in differentiating instruction. So if internet is not reliable, if it's not working, it really does derail that learning process. And it is our goal to have a reliable system where that is not even something that comes to mind. You are constantly knowing that that's going to be consistent, that people's computers are going to work, and so we are diligent in moving forward with that. So that is our Collaborative Vision quarterly report for this quarter. There's obviously a lot of details I didn't hit on, and we do encourage everyone to look through it, ask questions, contact us as we continue to grow and improve. Any questions? Right? I really am proud of the product. I think it speaks to the exceptional work that we are doing here and that we are continuing to build here in Navarro.
No questions, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions on any of the items on the consent agenda?
I have questions on actually the sales purchase, so I have quite a few questions there. Okay, so expansion and all that, and I know that the company that we're suggesting that we purchase this from is one of the ones that said, oh, everything's fine. It bothers me a little bit knowing how things are failing. I know that we have approved the purchase of this particular brand of switches before. I have reservations about them. That's up to you to decide if anyone has to work with that. My concern is on the fiscal piece of this. So you have two bids, and the distance between them, I feel like we're rushing this a little bit. I understand your testing deadline. My folks are testing right now. So I understand the testing deadline that you're under. The biggest thing that concerns me about it is that we are buying these switches, and it does not have any type of warranty on it. What type of service are they providing to you in that? Because as wonderful as they are, you know, if you look at the cost differential, and I get that 3 days arrival is fantastic. That gets you up and running faster. I know people are complaining. I'm hearing lots of people complain about we had to take our microwaves and our refrigerators home because it interferes with the network. There may be other reasons for that, but at the same time, that shouldn't really affect anything dealing with the network. But I am concerned about not having a warranty on these, because if they start going out, you're replacing them for full value again. So I'd just like to know a little bit more about what kind of service you're getting with this and what kind of guarantee you have on this, because this is a super low bottom price for a switch. So that from a fiscal standpoint, that concerns me long term.
They come with a standard 2-year warranty on all the switches. The additional UI care from the other bidder was the extending it to 5 years. The delay would cause it to ship directly from the manufacturer, so it just depends on their stock levels versus the distributors. So we're not sure where that would be with those switches specifically.
Okay, and I know that you mentioned in the report not wanting to wait for the E-rate funding, which will provide you with the more powerful switches. I'm assuming these all run on PoE as well. They provide PoE.
PoE++.
Okay. And then will you still be applying for additional switches to potentially either upgrade these or add to through E-rate? Because if you buy these, I know you can't replace these same ones. They won't allow you to do that because they're going to be too new. So are we going to try to utilize that E-rate funding that would be coming forward? Or are we utilizing that for something else?
The E-rate would be used for the new high school switches and APs, correct.
Okay. You're using all of that for the new high school. Answers my question, but I am going to say I'm not comfortable with the use of the funds for this, because I do feel like it is last minute, and I'm not comfortable with not having. I just know how volatile they can be, and I just hate for us to have to replace them that fast after 2 years. So.
I do want to clarify the piece about microwaves affecting the internet, and I did share that with some teachers who asked a question in teacher advisory. That was shared as something that was shared prior to me arriving. It was something that was shared with Robbie, and I know Robbie communicated it to principals. There is absolutely no connection to a microwave and the internet. I believe in that particular.
There's not. I want to clarify.
No, there is not.
Not even if you turn on every microwave
Yes,
in every room in the
yes.
building, it would not affect it.
I
But
think,
people are saying those kind of things because of what we're having and what's happening.
right,
And I really want that misconception to be gone.
Yes.
There's a reason that we asked that to go out there. And so it kind of leads to.
I agree,
So I apologize
and-
if that made that sound like I'm thinking that's the problem. I know that's
No.
not the problem.
no, and I know you know that's not the problem, and so did our teachers. I think that from what I've been able to track down and talking to Robbie, there was an overload of circuits that ultimately created some issues, but it's not specifically a microwave or a refrigerator that is causing internet issues. The issue with them is it's truly a fire marshal issue, and so it really has nothing to do with the internet. So we do want to make that very clear that any of the issues we've had with the internet are not related at all to microwaves or refrigerators. But yes, Jason, if you want to speak a little bit to the timeline on the APs and then why the switches are being purchased now, I think that would be an important thing to highlight.
Yes, so our current Cisco environment is older switches that only support layer 2. The newer APs prefer layer 3. So when you have the downgrade from layer 3 to layer 2, there's a lot of latency, there's a lot of drop packets, a lot of retransmitting. So that caused a lot of issues. We were able to get elementary and intermediate is now fully on the new switches. And aside from an issue with the loop, it's been good since we got transitioned fully to the new switches. We're actually in the process of switching over the few switches we had left at the junior high to kind of bring up that network to better reliability in the further buildings, 100 in the portables, because they were having a lot of issues in those buildings. So this purchase will actually just refresh the rest of junior high and all of high school. So they're all on layer 3 switches to have better and quicker transmission rates. It'll also allow us to fully utilize the 10 gigabit connection we have for Region 20, whereas Cisco downgrades it to 1 gig.
Yeah, no doubt the Cisco needs to be replaced.
So let me understand what you mean, Lacey. You're, you know we need the switches, but you're talking about the quality
I'm talking
of
about
the switches that we're going to
the
purchase.
quality. I'm talking about the quality, and
Okay.
in most cases, you want the longer warranties, especially on these. I'm more concerned with the quality, because you're looking at, I mean, obviously Cisco's a $532,000 purchase. We're buying these for a little less than $50,000. Economy-wise, if you're going for the lowest bidder, yes. Longevity-wise, I have reservations about the longevity of it. There's maybe something in the middle. Granted, that's not really, unfortunately, I know more about this than most people. I
Right.
just,
That's fine.
I want our funds to be spent in such a way, because I know that they are limited, that we get some of the longevity out of it. That's one of the reasons that I really wanted to see some of that go into the bond, because I am familiar enough with this network to know how old it is. And the fact that, we need some of those upgrades, and they can be extremely costly. Going to a layer 3 system, absolutely, we need to do that. We are gonna need the stronger APs, and I get the testing challenges with that. This one is a little concerning for me, just based on the speed, the quality that I know that they are, and so on.
Did we spec the switches when we went out for bid? Did we spec these switches only, or were there others in the bid that they brought to us?
It was these only, based on my familiarity with the product, the ease of management. It has our firewall that we purchased through Ubiquiti has a built-in server to manage all of the network equipment, so it can be managed remotely, securely. It also, when comparing it to other firewalls, it allows for the full 10 gigabit throughput, even with IDP, intrusion detection prevention. Whereas most firewalls will cut you down to about 4 gigs, which is our current Fortinet would. If we were to even pay for the licensing to try to upgrade it to 10 gig. And the other benefit to Ubiquiti is they don't have any licensing structure. There is an option to pay for support, which is, I think, $2,000 a year for 24/7 phone support. That's really about the main differences. Is licensing structure saves a lot of money over time. I know my last district we moved completely to Ubiquiti, and we haven't had any problems.
The licensing concerns me, because of the licensing piece, it doesn't have any licensing limit. But the licensing generally gives you some additional support features. It also gives you some upgraded security features as things come out and things change. So I'm always skeptical when there's not some type of support that's provided with that, or some kind of licensing structure to maintain the integrity. I mean, that's one of the reasons the Cisco ones are out of life at this point, is that you really can't hardly even license them anymore, because they go out of life. And so, and part of that licensing is that we know when that runs out, so that you know how to plan for that going on. Moving forward.
Any other questions?
So we
not these switches, no. We had already purchased about 20 to get the 2 campuses outfitted.
That's what I thought.
So what is it that we haven't been launching?
The Ubiquity.
Any other questions or comments? So on this particular agenda item, I guess the question is, do we feel like more research needs to be done? Or are we comfortable with the answers that we heard tonight?
Or would you recommend that we purchase the ones with the UI Care for the extended warranty?
What is it the same switch?
It's the same switch. It's their pro level. The Enterprise they have doesn't offer PoE++, which a lot of our security cameras will need.
So in addition to the warranty, it's also an upgraded version of it as well. From Delcom, from.
No, it's the same. It's the same switch. It's just the exact same switch, just
Right,
with the.
You said the enterprise version, and that's what made me think that you were.
Oh, there's a different version, but the Enterprise is more, and it has less features than the Pro currently. They're still a growing company. They're not at the Cisco level, but they are taking over some of their market share just based on the no licensing and the affordability.
Can you talk to me about timeline? If we don't approve these switches, what are we looking at to have to bring back to the board, and timeline on a new product spec?
Got to find a product, at least layer 3. I know the newer Cisco switches are. We could probably bring it back by the next board meeting.
What does that look like for our campuses and the reliability, knowing we have an upgraded AP and not an upgraded switch?
We would continue to have connection drops at the 2 campuses that remain on Cisco. Makes it hard to test. There's a lot of complaints about being able to even reach the instructional materials, ClassLink and IXL.
And that's the connection between the level 2 and the level 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so where are we at on the switches?
So, does that, could I ask a question, because in terms of doing this, because I feel like you had to do this very quickly because you're trying to solve a problem. Okay, and so I fully appreciate that because it happens. It happens to me all the time. Something fails and you have to come up with a solution. You need to do it very quickly because we are here for kids, okay? A lot of people don't recognize it. I know Ms. Epley said it in her place. I can tell you firsthand that nothing in this school works if your technology doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. If your security's not up to date, if things are not there, everything stops, from the superintendent to the payroll and everything else. So it does have to be there. I guess my question is really in the fact that, was this really such a shock, like right now? I mean, did something just happen drastically that all of a sudden, like, we're in testing that we didn't recognize, that maybe this is something we needed to look at maybe over the summer, have a little bit more time to plan, that we didn't just have to jump in right now? If we have to do it because we're hurting kids, I don't want to vote against it because we're hurting children. That's not what I sit here on the board to do. But I am here to make sure that we're making the right fiscal answers. And so, you know, in terms of that, is it just that all of a sudden we thought everything was fine and dandy, and then all of a sudden we shut up the school this year and now the switches are failing? Or did we really take a look and do some of this pre-planning? I know you haven't been here forever, you know, and so I get that. So understand I have an element of grace in this as well in terms of what I'm asking, but I do feel like it's a hard question that needs to be.
So I think if you can talk a little bit, Jason, about the timeline your experience with this particular switch at your previous district was a positive one. So if you can just talk a little bit about the planning and the discovery of how the APs came to need to switch, what the decision was about the switches, and that I think would help clarify.
Okay. So the original plan after the E-rate AP purchase was to use E-rate next year to replace the switches. We didn't experience too many problems over the summer switching out the APs and connectivity. It was when we started trying to connect 20 to 30 bodies per classroom that we started noticing all the drops, the retries, the complaints from teachers about the network not being reliable. It's where we had to try to make a decision to support testing at the two elementary campuses because I think their testing window started September 3rd. So we tried to, that's why we purchased the original 20 switches. And the plan, even for E-rate, was going to be to look at Ubiquity just because I have had positive experience with them at the other district. The difference there when we moved to the APs and we still had Cisco switches is they were newer 9600 models versus our 2960X that we have here, which are, I think, produced in 2013, so they're all end of life. So the 9600 model actually supported layer 3, so we didn't have these issues with the APs at the previous district. So it was kind of just discovering the issues once all the student bodies arrived. That kind of made us move quicker on the switches.
So in terms of the AP project, I mean, most of the time, unless you are buying way more expensive APs than I do, typically they're load, you're not gonna get more than about 30 students on a particular AP. So in the expansion of the APs that you did, and my understanding that we added additional APs so that you have one in every classroom to support a class of 20 to 30, or are you still sharing between two rooms where there's one AP in a room and you're trying to run 40 kids off one AP? Because changing the switch out is not going to change the capacity of what that AP can do.
At these two campuses, or at least at this campus, there is one in every classroom. That's how it was with Meraki. We just swapped one for one. These APs actually are advertised to hold 300. We've never tried to put 300 on one. We try to adjust the power level to keep them in the classroom so you don't have computers swapping between APs. But otherwise, they do also support up to 500 megabit throughput per client, which we've tested and it works great.
I just know some of the programs we use, like the Amplify Boost, it sucks down a lot of your bandwidth when it comes to your APs. And so if you're trying to run that many, if you're trying to run more than about 25 to 30 kids off a single AP in a classroom, if you have two classrooms sharing one, you're going to still run into trouble even after you replace the switches. So I do know that that can be a concern there, and I understand wanting to use the E-rate later and doing that backwards. But I do feel like some of the training could have helped prevent this, and I think that's what bothers me the most about this, is that we are kind of in a position of needing to approve something. I appreciate the fact that you used the switches before, you're comfortable with them, and that's fine. I would want to see going forward, if we are going to do a purchase for infrastructure components like that, you know, we need to look at a variety of different things and maybe plan out, you know, a little bit more, because I do have concerns based on what you just said, that we will replace these and we will improve it, obviously, but until all the APs are upgraded, I think we're still going to experience some problems, but I think we'll see some things improve.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion made by Melissa, second by Clint. Any further discussion?
to approve of the board approve LPA as architect for the new early childhood center, former elementary school refresh project, and delegate authority to superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract in a form approved by legal counsel.
Second.
Motion made by Dan, second by Lacy. Any further comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item is consider and take possible action to select an architect for the district's professional services pool for the intermediate rebranded elementary school refresh project. Any comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve LPA as the architect for the intermediate school refresh project, delegate authority to the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract in form approved by legal counsel.
Second. Motion made by Dan, second by Melissa. Any further comments? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Consider and take possible action to select an architect from the district's professional services pool for the junior high school refresh project. Any comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve that the board accept O'Connell Robertson as the architect for the junior high school refresh project and delegate the authority to the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract in the form approved by legal counsel.
Second.
Motion made by Lacy, second by Dan. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Consider and take possible action to approve the ranking of professionals for the provision of geotechnical engineering, construction material testing, and surveying services based on their demonstrated competence, qualifications for the 2024 bond construction projects, including possible delegation of authority to the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract. Any comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move that the board approve the recommendation from administration of the top-ranked professionals for the provision of geotechnical engineering, construction material testing, and surveying services for 2024 bond construction projects based on their demonstrated competence and qualifications, and authorize the superintendent to negotiate with the top-ranked professionals for the project and go on to the next rank until the agreeable contract can be reached for a fair and reasonable price, and further authorize the superintendent to execute such contract for a fair and reasonable price in a form approved by legal counsel.
Second.
Motion was made by Clint, second by Allison. Stay on track here. Any further comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Consider nomination for the Guadalupe Appraisal District Board of Directors.
Mo, if you want to come up and assist us with this. We have been here before, as you know. We have some new legislation that reorgs this particular board, and that is in your action sheet, and defines that for you. Ultimately, at this point in time, they are looking for 5 nominees. We will come back once those nominations are finalized, and you'll be able to utilize your votes from this district to cast them how you choose. But right now, they're just looking for nominees.
And that is, we did this last year, but that's because the legislation changed. And so now they're gonna be governed by a 9-member board. The tax assessor collector is an automatic member. The county tax assessor collector is automatically on the board. There's gonna be 3 elected officials, and then there's 5 appointed. And appointed and voted on by by all the entities who they do tax for.
Positions that we elected Jim Newman and Harry Dunn to. So
Yes.
this is-
Yes, you cast your votes. You cast your votes last year for them, for both of them. You nominated,
We nominated Jim.
Jim.
And you can choose to nominate 5, you can choose to nominate 0, and anything in between. It's up to you.
Well, I know that Jim likes serving on that board, so,
Paul does, yeah, I think that might be a conflict of interest. Boy, would I like to though. Okay.